Imagine that you are the leader of a country, and it's your job to create a nation of loyal subjects, right? Followers. But you don't want them to know that they're followers. And even if you're leading them to destruction, you want them to feel like it's their choice, or at least their fault. How would you do that? Let's talk about the history of the American education system, which actually started out as the Prussian education system. What's Prussia? I'm glad you asked. In the 18th century, the Prussian Empire was located what we would now call modern-day Germany. There were some wars, and Prussia ended up taking over a country called Poland. Now, just because you take over a place doesn't mean that the people there are going to be happy about it. The Polish didn't want to be colonized into German citizens. They was proud to be Polish, right? So the Prussians decided to play the long game. They knew they couldn't convert the adults into happy German citizens, so they focused on the kids instead, because kid brains are smushy, moldable. So for 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, they developed an education system that would last for 8 years, designed to propagandize and turn Polish children into proud German citizens. So here's what they do. They take children between the ages of 5 and 13 years old, separate them from their parents, and take them to be educated. Now, it didn't matter what the kids knew previously. If they were slower, more advanced, or even had varying interests, the kids were grouped together solely by age. And if the parents didn't want to send their kids to school, then they just took your kid from you and made them go to school anyway. In this system, the teacher was designed to be the boss. They give you the material, you learn it, all the way up to a final exam. The final exam determined what kind of career you would get when you graduate. Prior to this, there was no such thing as a final exam. They also cut class time to an hour. So instead of you being able to focus and tunnel vision down a specific interest for mastery, you were given broad strokes of each subject for an hour at a time. And the most important thing was that each class reinforced the strong Prussian values that they wanted you to embody. Kind of like how when you go to school today, they try and make everybody... Never mind. Long story short, it worked. So good that other nations began to study what was happening in Prussia. So how do we control our citizens like they doing? So it spread all over Europe, and eventually it reached America, and a man by the name of Horace Mann. In the year 1843, Horace Mann heard and was so impressed by what was happening in Germany that he traveled there just to see with his own two eyes if it was real or not. And it was. He was so impressed with the way that they controlled their citizens that he rushed back to America to have the Prussian system implemented there. And it was. Mandatory state-funded public schools started popping up all over the continental USA. By the 1900s, most kids in America were forced to and now attending these mandatory elementary schools. And that's where we are today. The next thing you need to learn is how the school system was set up to be a pipeline into the workforce.